Hi everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back with Rob Hill, aka the Bad Movie Bible, and stand-up comedian Nick Helm for our commentary to Predator 2. Now, Nick, I may be misremembering, but you as a kid, you didn't particularly like Predator 2, but now you kind of like it. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that when I first saw Predator, it was on like an ITV Diet Coke season, Arnold Schwarzenegger season. It's such a good film. When you're young, we got Predator 2 out from the video shop, and when you're young, you can't necessarily exactly tell the difference between a good film and a bad film. Predator 1 is just so good that anything less than that is going to be a disappointment. But then years later, after Prey came out, I think that it makes more sense of Predator 2. It actually makes quite a nice trilogy. If you look at the Predator films as an anthology, then those three films make a really... because they're all in different time periods. So it's kind of like a cool anthology series now.
What about you, Rob? Are you sort of similar ground to Nick?
Pretty much exactly the same take, yeah. Loved Predator. Predator 2 came out. And like you say, it's funny, isn't it? Like you say, you just... when you're a kid, you can't quite identify, you can't necessarily put into words what the problem is. But like when you're watching a Hong Kong cut-and-paste ninja movie, you know that it's not quite as good as a proper canon ninja movie.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Predator. I didn't know why I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. But that said, I did seem to watch it a lot. Because I've forgotten all about it in recent years, but going back and watching it the other day, I still knew half the dialogue.
Yeah.
So I must have watched it a lot, but I definitely enjoy it a lot more now.
Interesting. Okay. So, folks, you can enjoy this podcast by itself, but you can sync it with your own copy of the film by putting a timestamp to 0 and pressing play now. Obviously, now the original sort of conception for this, the writers Jim and John Thomas were sort of pitched a bunch of ideas for Fox. Obviously, they wanted a sequel to Predator. Weirdly, though, if you watch the old, I think it's a retrospective on the first film for the DVD, one of the producers says, despite the film making loads of money at the time, it took ages to turn a profit. There's probably one of those sort of weird studio ways of financing that. Oh, we made money, but we actually lost money, so we're not going to pay you out. I don't know. But their idea for a sequel was basically have an urban jungle, throw it into the city.
Well, see, this is already an amazing... like, you're going, oh, wow, we're back in Predator. Do you know what I mean? It's Predator. Look at this. Oh, it's like Predator. And you go, oh, no, this is going to be bullshit, right? Oh, no. And what would it be, 6 years in the future?
In the future of 1997. So it's like...
Yeah, 6 years, isn't it?
Is that the same year
It's
as...
supposed to be 10 years. It's every 10 years it's supposed to be, isn't it? Every 10 years, the Predators come to hunt.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that the same year as Escape from New York?
Yeah. Well, Escape from... oh, you might be right. Yeah, future of 97 in Escape from New York, yeah. And then they did the sequel in 1997, didn't they? Or 96, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, one or the other.
One or the other, yeah. But, I mean, like the first Predator film, you've got this kind of a bit more of a sort of slower sort of start. This one, straight into the fucking action.
Yeah.
Stephen Hopkins just done Elm Street 5, which was a bit of a rush production. Not a great film, but visually interesting.
I imagine all of the Elm Street films were rush productions. I mean,
New
they
Line.
did one a year for like 6 years, right?
I do like the way that they establish the through line. Like, obviously, brilliant. Change the location. Got to do it differently. Change the style. Change the location. Change everything. That's good. But I like the way they create the through line by inventing this bit of mythology about the Predator seeking out hot places where there's conflict.
Oh, right.
They've obviously gone, what has LA got in common with the jungles of South America? That's it, isn't it? That's the only thing.
I think that's in Predator, though, isn't it?
Yeah, doesn't she allude to it? She sort of says the old stories about people being found skinned alive and during the hottest seasons.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being framed like that, though. As like that's, well, yeah, maybe so. Maybe
I think
so,
it was. I think they like hot weather. Don't we all?
Which is why AVP takes place in the Arctic.
Yeah. And it's the least good one. No, that's Requiem.
Well, AVP 2 is the least good one.
Yeah, but you can't see it, so it doesn't matter. So am I right in thinking that Predator 1 was based on a bet that was like, what if Rocky who could Rocky fight next? And they were like saying he just defeated Ivan Drago, and they said the only person Rocky could defeat was an alien.
Oh, I have heard that. Yeah.
And then they wrote Predator. So this guy with the long hair, he's really famous, isn't he? He's in Batman Returns and Last Action Hero.
Well, he's a familiar face for the sort of playing a stuntman, wasn't he? He gets maybe a speaking role.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, the casting, because this whole film, because it's Joel Silver produced, you got a lot of crossover with Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, I suppose.
And everything. You can kind of create an extended universe from this movie that incorporates most of the great action movies of the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, almost every cast member is drawn from, like, an absolute classic. Like, Danny Glover's, obviously, Lethal Weapon. Maria Conchita Alonso's Running Man. Bill Paxton from Aliens. Gary Busey from Under Siege. Robert Darby from Die Hard. It goes on and on and on, you know.
It's already very cartoony. Do you think that's because I've just thought this, but do you think it's maybe because in the time between Predator and Predator 2, the comic books had started?
Yeah, I wonder.
Well, Stephen Hopkins was a big comic book fan, so that's why he saw in Elm Street 5 that sort of dream sequence, which is like a comic strip.
But there were already Predator comic books. And there was one that was set in New York, I think.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and it was Dutch's brother. And there were also some Terminator comic books out by then that came out before Terminator 2. And it was kind of like there was a team of Terminators that went back and they hid a gun in a guy's stomach. And then the first thing was they stuck their fist in his stomach and ripped it out. But there was like an expansion on what was possible to do on film. And it was kind of like had that comic book aesthetic, and then this kind of like feels like one of them late 80s, early 90s comic books.
I think you might be onto something there, actually, yeah, because like you say, that this is when the crossover between movies and comic books like really began to be a thing, isn't it? And these genre classics ended up having quite prominent comic book personas as well. Like RoboCop ended up, a load of stuff that was meant to be in the sequel ended up in the comics, didn't it? And so on and so on.
Mm.
Well, I think the comic was called Concrete Jungle for the one that had Arnold's brother in it.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Yeah, I think they made a video game.
Was the AVP comic before Predator 2?
Yes.
Because I'd always thought it came after it, but then I saw something in the documentary. Someone mentioned something about how
do you think
because the reason the alien is in this at the end is because it's just a nod to the comics. But I'd always thought it was kind of the other way around.
Yeah, because I remember there being, because it was the same guys who worked on it, right? I believe. They put it in as it's Stan Winston, so they put the alien's kind of skull in the Predator's ship as a sort of nod to it. But then it's maybe that was the sort of started the fire to get people interested in a crossover, or maybe something had happened in Dark Horse Comics already.
Probably should have checked this out, shouldn't we? Really?
Yeah,
maybe. But like that shootout just then, I mean, you're right. It's kind of like the Expendables of stuntmen shootouts, and like every actor and stunt performer in there is like you've seen from something. It's like, oh my god. Like if you appreciate it on the level that you've got like the best of the best all doing this ridiculous kind of like shootout at the beginning of a movie, it's like what a way to start it,
Oh, it's an amazing intro. I absolutely love it.
The tone is so different. Predator's really serious, and in a way that makes his two one-liners that he does. He goes knock knock, he goes knock knock, and what's the other one he does? He goes stick around. And they really stick out in Predator because you kind of like go, it would be better without them. Whereas the tone of this is like, wow, it's like satirical. There's elements of RoboCop in it.
Yeah.
And as a discussion I brought up before, and also I think when me and Rob had done a commentary to RoboCop 2, this year, the 1990 had Predator 2, RoboCop 2, Die Hard 2, and they all have a very mean-spirited kind of attitude. Right, and that was, the critics were like, there's so much swearing in this movie, and it's so aggressive and mean. It's just like...
In Predator 2.
All of them had it, like all those three films of that 1990. And as I say, two of them by Joel Silver. And they're all 18-rated, big-budget movies.
When was Last Boy Scout out?
That was 91.
Because that's really mean-spirited. I mean, it's good though. I love it.
I saw it once. I never felt desire to go back to it. I remember being a bit too long.
Weirdly, I've never gone back to it either.
It's about 10 minutes too long, but it's funny. I just think it's funny.
That's Steve Cahan. Speaking of actors from everywhere, Steve Cahan, the captain from Lethal Weapon, who's a...
That's Richard Donner's cousin. Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
He's in Superman where he finds Lex's lair or something like that.
Right.
Oh, he's a good actor. I like him. He's great in Lethal Weapon. It's really naturalistic.
Yeah, he is. He is good.
God, you've also got Kent McCord in this, speaking of the policeman. Kent McCord, Ollie?
What's he out of again?
Who's
He's
Kent McCord?
like if you recognise him from anything, it's probably going to be Airplane 2. That's kind of one of his most prominent roles. He's Captain Unger.
Yes.
But he's also the
Oh, come on.
he's also the lead.
If you remember, he's Captain Unger in Airplane 2.
I watch Airplane 2 a lot.
No. Give me something better than that.
What to me, that's what most people get known for. To me, he's the lead of Galactica 1980, the first Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Oh, fuck off.
He's part of a double act with Barry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's son.
Oh, yeah, from Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get that. This guy's brilliant. I fucking love him.
Yeah.
Good, isn't he? Yeah. I still love the sort of retro Heat vision. You know, when they try to redo it for the new films, it just never quite worked. It needs to look kind of retro, analog.
What's the film? It's RoboCop, where they couldn't do the heat-seeking vision, so they just painted all the characters.
Yeah, in the mayor's office.
Yeah,
scene,
it's so cool. Yeah, right.
And it works, doesn't it?
And he's here. He's jumped in. Here we go.
It's so violent as well, this movie. It's like, I mean, I was saying this before we started, it feels more like a sequel to RoboCop than a sequel to Predator in a lot of ways because of the satire.
Definitely.
And because the violence is kind of, I mean, obviously Predator's really violent, but it's much more like cartoonish in this, like it is in RoboCop. The amount of blood and the reactions that people do when they're getting shot.
It doesn't quite put... He's on the craft table.
It's like that.
It doesn't quite push it as far as RoboCop.
No, probably not.
There's something off about Danny Glover not having a moustache. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's all a bit like, I know, I do love it. I love it.
It was it didn't make a huge amount of money because the people were disappointed Arnold didn't come back, and obviously that was due to him doing Total Recall. But
Right.
The thing is, though, it's like you're fine. So Arnold doesn't come back, but that isn't necessarily the end of the world. And might be controversial, but I love Danny Glover. I'm not having a go at Danny Glover. I think Danny Glover is brilliant. I'm such a big Lethal Weapon fan, but he's not right for this role. He's not this guy is obviously meant to be kind of like the uncontrollable. You know, he's McGonagall or whatever his name is from The Simpsons. He's McGonagall, but he's not. He's like Danny Glover's there to play the straight, responsible guy, not the crazy, off the hook guy.
I mean, you say that, but he's got you've just seen that he's afraid of heights and he had to step away from the thing. I think he might be. He's like, he's not an Arnold Schwarzenegger type. Do you know what I mean? He's got a smaller frame and he's a cop and he's got to use his brain to think this through.
But what if? But imagine Bill Paxton in that role. Imagine if Bill Paxton's in the movie. I think Bill Paxton would have been like, because Bill Paxton is like inherently over the top and kind of satirical in his performance. It would have fitted really well to the vibe of the movie.
Who would play the Bill Paxton part?
Well, he can play both.
That's fine. Because he's perfect. Do you know what I mean? You get just enough of him.
No, I mean it. Bill Paxton can play. Ideally, Bill Paxton would probably play all the roles in this movie.
And the Predator. Okay.
But who would you kind of think, though, if it wasn't going to be Danny Glover? Who would you have? I mean, they could have asked Mel to do it. He probably would have said no because it's a weird genre film. But
no,
sort
of thing who would fill in Arnold's shoes.
I'm glad. I need to be clear. 'Cause I am really glad that he's in this role. I'm just thinking that's as a reason why it wasn't commercially successful. That's where my thinking starts and almost finishes.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I almost agree with you, but then as soon as you said it, I was just thinking, no, actually, he just brings an entirely different quality to the thing.
Oh, absolutely he does. I'm just not sure it's a commercial quality.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger is like Brawn versus Brawn, right? And he basically destroys him by dropping a tree on him, right? And this is more like Danny Glover is solving this mystery, and it's just like this different quality to it.
Yeah, it's kind of a detective story.
I never appreciated it,
Well, you're saying about a detective story. It's got that sort of film noir elements to it. Clothing they wear because it's kind of 1940s, 50s vibe. You're wearing hats
and big trousers.
Big trousers that appear like they'd be super hot and itchy to wear.
Yeah, that looked miserable. That opening scene, it looked so hot.
I love the sweat and the heat and you can feel the texture of it in this movie.
Like the first film, the first film is all about like, oh god, that jungle looks warm.
It's a dry heat. It's like.
The other thing about Predator was that it's sort of like in 1987, wasn't it? It cemented Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger at that point. He'd done kind of like Raw Deal and Commando and Terminator, obviously, but then Predator really cemented him as like, oh, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And Danny Glover could have kind of like had the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Because when he's playing Murtaugh, he's how old was he? He was 40.
He was too old for this shit, man.
But he was 40 and he was playing like 55, right?
Yeah.
And so this is weird. It's even weird seeing Danny Glover in this era looking so young,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in his best shape in this film, apparently.
Yeah, he's very powerful, isn't he?
Yeah. He said a couple of years ago this is one of his best performances of his career. Which is interesting.
But you've got to be physically fit on set as well because it's absolutely exhausting. And if he's filming in this heat and he's like past 40, it's kind of like, it would have been like really hard going just filming,
Yeah. I always laugh if you listen to the old, well, not old actually, because they did obviously the Predator, and they throw in Jake Busey to sort of be as a nod to Gary Busey.
Is Gary Busey turning up already?
You see him briefly wander off.
Yeah, well, that's early, right? I thought
it is
maybe
early. Yeah. They obviously come to. They've spotted the signs, haven't they? What's going on?
But I think this is really important, though, isn't it? This is what I took away watching it the other day. The whole Gary Busey stuff, because there's no mystery anymore. We know what the Predator is now, so we don't have this film doesn't have the advantage the original film does. So they need to build in some kind of, a bit of detective and an angle along those lines, a bit of mystery. So they do it by having Gary Busey turn up, and then it's all about us wondering what he knows, wondering why he's there, and following Danny Glover trying to figure out what he knows and why he's there. So I think they kind of have to get him in quite early in order to start all that off.
But also he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger character, isn't he?
Gary Busey?
Yeah.
Well, he's the backstory has him as Arnold's boss. Well, I read two different backstories about this. One of them has him as Arnold's boss, and between the two films, he sent Dutch on another mission to get a Predator, and he got killed. And then the other backstory is that he was like Gary Busey went and investigated what Arnold Schwarzenegger knew and added it to an already large file of information about the Predator, like X-Files style.
I heard there was an opening where it's sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger dying of radiation poisoning, and Gary Busey's like going, "Well, there's your cameo." Do you know what I mean?
And Arnold didn't want to do it because he didn't want the small role, and they couldn't agree a bill for him to play the big role. And
that's what I thought. I thought the Gary Busey character was rewritten because it was originally meant to be Arnold. Here he is.
Yep.
Practicing his golf swing.
What's the fun fact about Bill Paxton?
Well, he's the only actor to be killed by a alien, Predator, and a Terminator.
That's right, Ollie. It's good to get that bit out of the way now, isn't it?
Yeah, before the comments come in on the video.
Here we go. Here's Kent McCord.
Airplane 2.
Of course. Captain Hoover, yes.
The whole I was over Unger and Unger was overdone. And
Unger, yes.
That whole scene, he's one of them.
Oh, of course. Yes.
But more importantly, he's Apollo's adopted son in the Battlestar Galactica metaverse.
Exactly. Exactly. Gary Busey was always a bit like, for me, he was a bit like Nick Nolte with teeth.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Like, because Three Fugitives was out, and Down and Out in Beverly Hills, and whatever else Nick Nolte was in. So he was quite like a big. And then you'd see him, and you'd go, he's kind of like Nick Nolte with teeth.
I used to confuse them all the time. Same with Dennis Quaid and Harrison Ford when I was those.
Dennis Quaid and Harrison Ford, yeah. But like Dennis Quaid, Harrison Ford, Kevin Costner, Mel Gibson, Richard Gere. They're all interchangeable to some degree, you know. You could put Michael Douglas in Presumed Innocent.
Wasn't it around this time Gary Busey had a horrible motorcycle accident, didn't he?
It was just before. Was
it just before this?
1989. Yeah, this was one of his first projects afterwards. And if you've seen the documentary, it's kind of apparent that he's suffering the early stages of some...
Yeah, right. The behind the scenes of Predator 2 is, he's incredible.
He's a fucking lunatic in that documentary. The stuff he starts shouting. I mean, God knows what he's talking about for half of it, but he's absolutely brilliant.
Because his son Jake said when he visited the set, and his dad Gary was like, "Son, this is what we're going to be wearing in the future." It's the future of '97. Danny Glover's trousers are way too high. He's gone full Simon Cowell, hasn't he?
They do actually contribute to the awkwardness of this film. Do you know what I mean, though? It's subconscious, but you're thinking, those trousers are fucking wrong, right?
God, they've got to get him shirtless.
You didn't get trousers like that in the first one. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking it. He doesn't give a fuck, does he? He's so just sort of like... He must be like that in between takes as well. Do you know what I mean?
Bill Paxton was always full of energy, wasn't he? You know, it's always... If you see him even off camera, he's always kind of just like... Always chilled, but like enthusiastic.
Except for the behind the scenes. Of Twister.
Oh, I haven't seen the behind the scenes of that.
He's like, him and Helen Hunt hated each other. If you go on the Twister, when the Twister ride was there, they all do VT stuff, but they're not in the same VT.
Oh, really?
So he does his bit, and then Helen Hunt does her bit.
That's some going, because normally part of a documentary involving Bill Paxton is just the entire cast taking it in turns to say how much they love Bill Paxton. He seems to be really popular on all of his sets.
Yeah, I think he's quite serious and wistful about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's brilliant.
But he was just so happy to play kind of like lovable arseholes.
Yeah, because I think he'd basically given up on having an acting career, hadn't he? When Cameron started putting him in stuff, because he wasn't. You must know more about this than me, Ollie. But he wasn't actually a professional actor, was he? Wasn't he a writer or something?
No. He was doing set decorating.
Set decorating, that's it.
Yeah, that's how James Cameron knew him from the Roger Corman years. So, but Joel Silver put him in. He was in Weird Science.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was the big brother in Weird Science.
And he was recommended to... Because Cameron obviously knew him from back in the day, so he put him in Aliens, but he was...
Yeah, they were good friends, I think, weren't they, Cameron and Paxton?
Oh, yeah, because, they'd do the deep sea dives, didn't they, together a couple of times, so...
Yeah. But, I think he'd do my head in real life, to be honest, the character he's playing here. He's very shrill, isn't he?
Yeah, he's meant to be a dick. He's meant to be kind of slightly annoying, and then you love him right at the end.
He's the Lone Ranger, isn't he, or something? They refer to him as.
This is I don't know if this is a problem with the movie, but this scene is... Like, the first half of this film, I don't think there's a single original line of dialogue or original moment, or every single character exchange is a cliche. But it does a really good job of building everything up, and it's just so nostalgic now. And you go back and watch these kind of movies where they'll sit in rooms that look like this and say things like, "I've only got one speech and I only give it once, so you'd better listen," and all that. It's just before that got so cliched you couldn't get away with it. This is kind of, in a way, the last hurrah for the proper cliches.
Best bit. This is the best bit.
I love the punching as it goes in with the music. Boom, boom, boom. As it
this bit was always fuzzy when you rented it from the video shop.
Tracking comes up. It's like the Under Siege sequence with the woman out the cake. Tracking kicks in.
Oh, Erica Iliniak. Yeah, Erica Iliniak. Give her a name.
Give her the respect she deserves, Ollie.
I always forget her name.
Not anyone could have played that role.
There was
Because I'm fucking crazy. And this goes, that knife he digs in. I remember, because it's got cut, I think it got given an NC-17, then it was cut down a little bit for an R. But you can see where some of the cuts have probably been made, like when he goes to put the knife in. And
well, all of a sudden they're in completely different positions. You know what I mean? It's like it's a huge jump. It's like it jumps into halfway through a torture scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it does, yeah. And also the line, fucking voodoo magic man. Did that come from this film before people started saying that?
Well, it could have been a few movies from around this time, because there was a real trend suddenly in the early 90s, wasn't there, or like around 1990, for voodoo Jamaican-themed street gangs for some reason.
It was a Steven Seagal one, wasn't there?
Marked for Death is the Steven Seagal one, yeah, they're exactly the same in that as they are in this. I even actually looked it up because I couldn't remember what the villain was called, and I could have sworn there's another King Willie, basically. I'm sure there's another King Willie.
Just called Big Willie.
So this was all in the UK version, wasn't it? Which
yes,
because that kind of frontal nudity was quite unusual in the UK at this time. The BBC did not like it.
I don't think the BBC actually cut anything from this film.
They cut. There are two cuts they made, but they weren't to the nudity. Oh God, I can't remember now. But I found online exactly what they are. It's a violence-related thing later on.
The BBC website is bloody brilliant. It tells you everything, like even for stuff from years ago, like when they actually rated a movie from the 80s. It's mental.
Well, I'm watching this on Disney Plus, and I didn't get any full frontal nudity.
Oh, really?
So
No, you see it at the beginning.
No, just then. There's like several shots of her.
Oh, her.
Absolutely.
Oh no, there was.
Nude.
I thought you meant that you saw his dick when he was hanging
Oh
upside down.
no, not him. No, her. And there she is in the background again.
I was just thinking, Disney. Oh my God! Look at how fucking violent this is. I'll watch The Little Mermaid next.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, nothing was cut. I don't think.
No, there were two bits. The BB. I've got a feeling it's not on. I had to go to that. What's that other site that lists everything? I can't remember now. But just like literally just like a few frames of violence in the last act.
So his staff is a new weapon, isn't it?
Well, this whole sequence throws in the net, the spear, and that weird dart thing he fires out of his
right. And then he's
sort of shoulder arm thing.
And then he's got the frisbee a bit later.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So this one's the one I suppose expands the most of the Predator mythology, doesn't it?
But so well because you'd swear that frisbee thing and that he had the spear in the first one. Do you know what I mean? It instantly becomes kind of part of the lore. Also, you got to say that the Predator in Predator 2 is as good as the Predator in Predator 1. Whereas they get the costumes so wrong in all of the others, you know. They always just look so bulky and the masks look too big. You know, especially in Predators or Aliens versus Predator, all of the Predators in that are so foamy and kind of huge. They just look ridiculous. And
I made a note to talk about this actually because when we did the AVP commentary, I remember saying it just doesn't bother me. I hadn't really noticed. I don't really care. But since that commentary, I've had it in my mind, and watching this again, really appreciated Kevin Peter Hall being in that suit. So I take back what I said during the AVP commentary.
It's a great performance, and it's kind of like he's different enough from the first one. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like you get. It's essentially the same bad guy, but you get like. You get more of what you liked, I suppose, but it's different. You know, it's the same but different. I love it. I just think he's great. He was obviously children listening to this commentary will obviously know Kevin Peter Hall from Bigfoot and the Hendersons, or
that was Harry and the Hendersons.
Harry and the Hendersons in America, yeah, right.
Or Misfits of Science, the short-lived superhero TV series in which he played a superhero whose super ability was making himself tiny.
Amazing.
I love the idea of casting the tallest actor in the world to play a dwarf.
It was maybe his dream role, you know, to see the world from a new point of view.
He's never mentioned it in an interview I've seen when he talks about the roles he's played. So I've got a feeling he didn't think much of it, which is weird because he was actually on. He wasn't in a suit. He was on camera. He actually got to act properly.
Well, maybe he was really shy. He was really nice, wasn't he?
Yeah, apparently everyone loved him.
And he's the helicopter pilot at the end of Predator, isn't he?
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
When the explosion goes off and you see it reflected in some sunglasses or something, and then
I don't remember that.
And then he like looks and he's flying the helicopter just when.
That's right. Yeah. He had his
That's
cameo.
Kevin Peter Hall.
He's like, what the fuck?
Just to say that Bigfoot and the Hendersons was called Bigfoot and the Hendersons when it was released in the cinema in the 80s.
In the UK, it was Bigfoot.
Yeah.
All right.
I think they didn't know what Harry meant. It's like sorcerer and philosopher.
That's right. Yeah.
There was a big transatlantic confusion on what Harry could mean.
It's interesting with supporting with the other cast members. You got Maria Alonso and Ruben Blades. They're both musicians.
Yeah, both like Latin icons as well.
Yeah.
What's great about this is he's got a team, right? And they work the same as... Do you know what I mean? It's not actually that different from the original. He's got a team. They're all solving problems. They get picked off one by one. You've got Carl Weathers here. It's Gary Busey. You know, it's actually... But it's a bit like Aliens in the way where they've gone, hey, you saw that guy strung up in the first one? Well, you're going to get loads of guys strung up in this one. Do you know what I mean? It's like they haven't given us... Well, they do give us more predators at the end. Spoiler alert. But they amp up everything else around it, so you get more violence, more blood, more dead bodies hanging around, more victims. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot pacier as well, isn't it? So you're almost running from action set piece to massive murder to bloody gore fest to there's always something going on.
Because I mean, where I stand on Predator is that I think it's one of the best action films, one of the best sci-fi films, one of the best kind of like men on a mission films, war film. It's just one of the best of all of its genres, and it's just such a high quality that like I think it's one of the. I prefer it to Terminator 2. I prefer it to Total Recall. I prefer it to Die Hard. I think Predator is just one of the best films of the 80s, and it's probably Arnold Schwarzenegger's best role as a good guy. Do you know what I mean? He's like,
yeah.
He's brilliant in it. Predator 2 is so brave because it's kind of like gone, right, we haven't got Arnold. What the fuck are we going to do? So they've given us this thing, and it like realizing that it's kind of the same is kind of weird because it doesn't feel anything like Predator.
Exactly, yeah. And it's the same case with all three of those movies that you mentioned earlier, Ollie, all three of the unpleasant 1990 sequels, RoboCop and Die Hard. RoboCop 2 and Die Hard 2 are also just their first movies remade, basically. But in such a different environment and with such a different spin that it doesn't feel like they're just a remake. Like you say, this is basically just a remake of The Predator in a different environment with some slightly different characters, but it feels like a totally different movie to me.
It's also like, it's also through the lens of a different director, and that's what and in the case of this, Stephen Hopkins, he's very young and he's just going full out bonkers with it. And he's admitted to it. He'd shoot it completely different now. When he was interviewed like 2008, but he said at the time he was just having a lot of fun and just doing what he could do, just sort of at 29 years old, he's having a blast, and you can tell it's made by a younger guy because it's so as you say, comic booky and violent and aggressive.
What did he go on to do?
Lost in Space.
My God, Lost in Space is one of the shittest films I've ever seen. We were watching that in an empty cinema when it came out, and we got so bored that we ended up just because we were in the front row because we were thinking, it'll be like Star Wars, and it'll be like we're in it, right? We got so bored we ended up just rolling around on the floor punching each other. We hated Lost. I hated Lost in Space. Yeah. Anyway, what else did he go on to do?
That's not a fair reflection of him, though, is it? Because he's generally what he does is make perfectly good thrillers. That's kind of his thing, isn't it? Just never remarkable, never amazing, but perfectly good.
But what Lost in Space was it's like when you went to see it, you go, oh my God, because Star Wars was right round the corner. So it's just like, this is the technology that they're going to be making Star Wars with. It's going to be brilliant, right? Because there was that Matt LeBlanc kind of like fighter pilot bit at the beginning.
Oh, the trailer got everyone excited when they saw the film. It was like, what? This is a really weird film with some actually kind of, sort of dodgy CGI.
Oh, it's fucking shit.
But because after this he did Judgment Night, which was a massive bomb with Emilio Estevez.
Oh yeah,
good solid thriller.
But apparently a good solid, and he did Blown Away.
Good solid thriller.
Judgment. If you watch Judgment Night on a double bill with Trespass, oh my God, that's a 3-star evening. That is.
I think I might have actually done that. During the 5 years of childhood, I only watched movies with people from hip hop in them.
Yeah, I fucking love Trespass.
Yeah.
I watched that in my room on a black and white TV that you had to tune, and I watched it when I was doing my GCSEs on TV, and I was like, that is a 5-star movie. And then I looked it up in the Radio Times the next day, and it was 2 stars. I was like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about, Radio Times. Anyway, Predator 2.
He did The Ghost in the Darkness.
Good solid thriller.
It's not though, is it? They're all like.
It was like, I didn't like that film when I first saw it. Roger Ebert hated it. It was on the list of the worst movies of the year.
Would you know this?
Really?
And Hopkins said he couldn't. In '98, he said he couldn't rewatch it. He said it was such a mess.
Well, there's that William Goldman thing, isn't it, where Michael Douglas was the producer of the film, and he was just like, "Yeah, great, this character. He's like Quint. He turns up, he hasn't got a backstory. He's like in and out. That's what that Hunter character is." And he was the producer, and then all of a sudden they needed an actor for it, and Michael Douglas became the actor, and he was like, "Yeah, so we'll put in this big backstory, and we'll really flesh this character out." And he ruined his own film because his acting hat was completely different from his producing hat.
Blown Away's good. I think that's probably better than...
With Tommy Lee Jones doing a terrible Irish accent.
Yeah, but they all... Yeah.
Man, I've just watched a movie in which Burt Reynolds does an Irish accent. There's now a new base mark for terrible Irish accents.
Jeff Bridges, he's another one of those like interchangeable actors.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
Although no one else could have played the dude.
No.
True.
No, sure. And no one else could play Han Solo. They've all got like a signature role. Yeah, maybe Dennis Quaid. And Aldrin Ehrenreich, obviously.
Of course. Yeah, actually, there's literally other people have now played him. The world just didn't care.
It's so interesting with Stephen Hopkins because he's done all these movies, and it's not like he's a bad director. It's just like every one of them has this kind of problem with them, sort of creatively or behind the scenes. Things never seem to hit. He found more success with TV, but he's always. I think he's kind of. I think objectively best movie is that one he did about Peter Sellers, which had
Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
What, did he
Peter
direct
Sellers.
that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Which one, sorry?
The Life and Death of Peter Sellers.
Life and Death. I think I worked on that.
Fucking hell. You worked with the director of Predator 2?
No, I didn't. Not with him, but I think I was.
Did you do the end titles, Rob?
Yeah, no, that came through the DI lab I was working in for grading.
Is that him now? He's dead.
Yeah, he's gone. Rubens goes pretty quickly, doesn't he?
So you must know the story about the interview that went wrong with Ruben Blades. Have you heard that one, Ollie?
No.
So Ruben Blades is being interviewed on set for Good Morning America about Predator 2.
Yeah.
And the director's really stressed because they're already late, and he's waiting for Ruben Blades like, what now? So he's standing off camera shouting at him, come over here, we need to shoot this, and he just wouldn't. He's just ignoring. He's like, why are you fucking ignoring me? So he comes storming over, swearing and shouting. Literally grabs him and manhandles him up, and it's because he's in the middle of a live interview. So the next thing you know, Stephen Hopkins is getting endless death threats from the Latino members of the audience who've watched it. It's like, why are you showing so little respect to our man?
Oh wow, Stephen Hopkins was going mental at him.
If you look at Stephen Hopkins back then, his hair is like his proper like hair metal kind of big hair. He's got big bulky leather jacket on. He's got an earring in. He's come from music video.
Me and my friend Nathaniel, and we do a podcast together.
Yes, you do.
Consumer Debate. Where we always we've got a theory that there's a good guy and a bad guy. They've got like good and bad doppelgangers, and Robert Davi is evil Henry Winkler. And I suppose you could say Gary Busey is evil Nick Nolte, or Nick Nolte's evil Gary Busey. There's you have these doppelgangers that are kind of...
I can believe that Dennis Quaid is just an evil Harrison Ford.
Yeah, sure.
That makes a lot of sense to me, actually.
I'd probably find Nick Nolte more terrifying than like Gary Busey.
Have you noticed how much Harrison Ford looks like Steve Martin?
Yeah, now you say it.
They've got the same face.
Have you ever noticed the way that what's the guy who plays Kylo Ren in so he's Harrison Ford's son? I've forgotten the Adam
Driver.
Adam Driver. So when he was cast as Harrison Ford's as Han Solo's son, the first thing I thought was, this is the guy who for years I've been saying looks just like the cartoon Han Solo in the holiday special. If you look at the cartoon of it, he looks just like Adam Driver.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe someone was looking at the thing and went, oh yeah, it's like, put him in it.
They should have animated Han Solo then.
That would have made them much better, those subsequent movies, yeah.
Well, it would have improved Harrison Ford's performance in the third one, am I right? Didn't even shave.
No, the guy who's next to Busey then, no, he's the guy at the end. He goes, you fucked everything
Adam
up.
Baldwin.
Does he return for the Predator? I can't... Maybe I'm just talking bollocks here.
Adam Baldwin. Yeah, right.
It's Adam Baldwin. He plays a character called Garber.
What else is he in? What else is Adam Baldwin in?
Full Metal Jacket. He's part of the
yeah.
We're in every
course,
movie from the
yes,
80s in this movie.
No, he's not. No, he's not in it. I was getting my wires crossed.
It's a star-studded. Yeah, I mean, from a genre point of view, it's absolutely star-studded, isn't it?
I know. Did I mention Kent McCord's in it as well? Kent McCord is in this movie.
Is he the pilot from Airplane 2, the sequel?
Yeah, you see, everyone knows Kent McCord.
Is that Kent McCord? No, who's Kent McCord?
Yeah, he's the pilot from Airplane 2. He's also in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
He's so memorable. Yeah, okay, yeah. Of course, Airplane 2, the sequel.
Electric Boogaloo.
Absolutely improving on everything that Airplane 1 got wrong.
I always love the line, I was in BO and barbecue.
Yeah.
Great line. Some great dialogue in this.
There is, yeah. One-liners.
Oh, so many of them. I think that I love the idea that the Predator's in a giant city, but kind of fundamentally it doesn't quite work as well as a jungle, because you've got that claustrophobia to you. With a city, it's kind of, there's so many other people around, you don't really feel like they're in much peril.
That's what it's lacking. The thing about Stephen Hopkins, is it Stephen Hopkins?
Yeah, Hopkins.
He's got, he has potentially 5-star movies, but they always end up like almost like a 2-star version of what it could be.
Mm.
It's kind of The Ghost in the Darkness. I think even like the film is kind of like, well, lions. They're real, you know what I mean? It was like the height of CGI monsters at the time, so lions felt like a bit of a step down. But that's not really his fault. That's what the film was. But you got Bill Paxton in this. Bill Paxton was in Weird Science, and he was in Weird Science with the cameo from Vernon Wells. Vernon Wells was the bad guy in Commando, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Predator. And this is Predator 2, so it's all connected, you see.
You can also connect this movie to Airplane 2 because Kent McCord's in this movie.
Oh,
and
right,
he plays Unger in Airplane 2.
Yeah, and
you could connect Weird Science to Mad Max too.
Well, yeah, you could. And Mel Gibson was in Lethal Weapon with the captain from Lethal Weapon that's in this.
This is the Joel Silver multiverse, isn't it? So,
I thought you were just mentioning, Ollie, that you're not sure about this city as an environment. I feel like it is really oppressive and kind of like, it's got that same quality as the jungle because they do such a good job of the heat, and because they're in a city that kind of towers over you as well. And
yeah, it's that sort of crime on the rise, and it's like a reflection of what was probably like LA was kind of like. Because obviously 2 years later you'd have the LA riots, and things are kind of out of control.
Yeah, this was made at the exact midpoint between the release of Straight Outta Compton and the LA riots. So there was a very specific vibe, I think.
But there must have been kind of like a vibe in the air in Los Angeles that they were tapping into.
You think the writers have probably been watching a lot of CNN or Fox and just sort of, taking what they were kind of observing.
Well, I guess it was like a pressure cooker at the time, and they were like tapping into that.
Exactly, yeah. The only thing that I struggle with as a result of it being set in a city is where the fuck that spaceship is meant to be. How do you land a spaceship in a city without anyone noticing?
And hide it underground.
Like, how do you get it underground? Like, fine, there are caverns under LA, apparently, where you can hide a spaceship, but can you just fly one in there without anyone noticing?
Well, yeah, but it's in a series of catacombs, right? So maybe it landed in Brazil and then burrowed its way to Los Angeles. You just don't know, do you, Rob?
Do you know what? That could be it.
You don't know what the fuck that alien technology is doing, right? So why don't you wind your neck in and just let the movie unfold before your eyes, yeah?
Oh, I love these guys. This is you want some ganja, man, isn't it?
What's some ganja, man? That's like Rob would just be like, yes, please.
That's kind of like Escape from New York, though, right? With
oh yeah. Sure.
The Pimpmobile.
This is a cool shot. Look at this. Here we go.
Geeking out over that.
Oh, it's good stuff, isn't it?
This is my favourite bit of visual effects.
Yeah, it's brilliant with the puddles.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely incredible. There's no CGI in this; it's all analog, everything, and it's some of the best chemical processing work I've ever seen.
This sequence is great.
It's flawless.
But I think I know what you mean. Like the Stephen Hopkins element is that it should all be really claustrophobic and hot, and it is at the beginning. But, then we just get scenes of all the gang just crossing the road. And
they were when they were filming this, all these street bits, they were finding dead bodies under rubbish and stuff. It was, not great to shoot in. People were throwing stuff at them, bottles of piss and stuff.
The sequence later on when Danny Glover's, chasing the Predator down the side of the building and so on. I think that alley there apparently was the worst one that they filmed in, and that's where they literally found a dead body amongst all the rubbish. And the locals were, because they were making noise and stuff, the locals were just throwing bags of human shit.
Oh, they hated them. Yeah, they hated them.
I love this character. I love King Willie, so to speak.
I don't know who he is.
I'm not sure. What is his this actor's accent? Does he have a Caribbean accent of any sort? Naturally, I can't remember.
Well, Calvin Lockhart.
Calvin Lockhart. That's him.
He's in Cleopatra. Uncredited role though.
Which one? From the 60s.
1963.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, he was in Twin Peaks, Rain, Coming to America.
Yeah, he's the neighbouring king in Coming to America, isn't he? It's his daughter that Eddie Murphy's being made to marry.
That's right.
I just want to say that when we talked about Mad Max earlier, and we said that I said that Mel Gibson's connection to this film was the captain out of Lethal Weapon, but of course it's Danny Glover, isn't it?
Both
the star.
Both of them.
I didn't think of Danny Glover though. Of course, they're both in Maverick.
I was also found disappointing, like with this moment here, where the Predator they face off, which is a wonderful sequence, but then you just cuts to him screaming. You don't see him actually kind of fight. And I always felt when I was younger, like, oh, has that been cut out?
No,
I think it's just a transition.
It's a really good edit, isn't it? Because it's like the Jeff Goldblum yawning in The Lost World.
Yeah, yes, that's good. Yeah,
there's a scream and then he's like yawning, isn't it? And then the scream becomes a train.
That's all come from something else, though, isn't it? It's all come from probably come from like Citizen Kane or something.
Sure.
They're borrowing from other filmmakers.
Well, Predator 2 and Citizen Kane use a lot of the same techniques.
Rosebud.
That has become that technique that Wells invented on Citizen Kane of using the parrot scream to wake you up. That has become an actual technique. There are probably instances of that in this movie.
To wake you up in the movie?
Yeah, so if you have a long dialogue scene where not much is happening, then start the next scene with a big shocking bang noise, and then everyone's back in.
Here you go, right.
Oh, this bit here. I mean, we haven't mentioned Alan Silvestri's score, because it is incredible for this.
I was watching Back to the Future the other day, and there's bits from Back to the Future that are exactly Predator. It's like...
Dun, dun, dun sort of sound.
Yeah, there's a bit towards the end of Back to the Future where it's got the same intensity as the jungle bit.
It's the same music.
Yeah, this bit is... Yeah, this. How do they do this, Ollie?
Oh, God, it's blue screen with a mix of... Oh, God, what was it? Live action elements with, like, in the water, makes the water spray up. And there's another element that goes into that, but yeah. I did explain it all in a video, but I still have to remember. I was an expert on Predator 2 for like 2 weeks, and then you
that's the problem, isn't it?
you become an expert, then you forget about it.
That's so the problem. The number of times I've been asked questions that I just can't answer.
That is the cut. There you go. But I see what you mean there. It did feel like you could have done that cut with that scream at any point, you know, and so there might have been an edit there.
I think they just don't want to reveal too much of the Predator just yet, because we've not really seen him yet, have we? And we see a lot of him later in the movie.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you see he's kind of... He was on top of the building, wasn't he? Kind of looking down.
Yeah, there's been lots of like mood shots of him, like as there are right now, but you know, like, actual like clear, properly lit.
To be fair to this film, it's a horror film, you know? Like, they haven't shied away from the horror elements. Terminator 2 shied away from the horror elements immediately, do you know what I mean? This is still a horror film, and the later Predator films aren't.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they're action films.
Maybe Predator Requiem. I mean, that's like a Saw film, isn't it? It's horrible.
Well, yeah, especially with the pregnant lady,
the maternity
sequence.
ward.
Yeah, it's just that's really bad taste.
And the
is.
kid and the dad that get impregnated in the woods. It's just sort of like, I don't want that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kids getting hurt.
Which one is? I can't even remember which one Predator Requiem is.
It's a sequel, Rob.
Oh, AVP. Yeah, sorry.
We
yeah,
did cover that.
Of course, we did. Yeah, no, I hate that film. Yeah,
Yeah, it's horrible. I don't think
that
I've
film.
ever got all the way through it.
You can't even see most of it.
Well, that's it. It's not just horrible, it's boring. So it's kind of like, it's not really got anything going for it.
A couple of years later after this, obviously, Robert Rodriguez wanted to do a Predator 3 with Arnold. Arnold was kind of interested, but things didn't really take off. But those kind of ideas were sort of picked apart and taken and put into Predators for 2010.
Who was Nimrod? Was it Nimrod Antel?
Nimrod Antal. Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think on Predators, but I quite like that film, despite not doing anything particularly original. But I like the sort of the cast.
I've never rewatched it for some reason.
Adrian Brody's wrong. Adrian Brody's not right for it, I think. And also, it's almost brilliant, but it's not really. It's kind of like they've almost done something different from Predator, but then they've just really remade Predator.
That's why I kind of like it.
Lawrence Fishburne turns up, and it's clearly meant to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Topher Grace is quite good in it. Do you know what I mean? I like those.
Walton
sort of
Goggins
elements.
is good.
Yeah.
He's always good.
It's just sort of like I don't need to see them in another jungle, and I would have preferred them to a different location.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that I'm going to be entirely alone in this take, but I actually really like The Predator from 2018, the Shane Black directed one, which everyone hates.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Loads of fun.
No, I watched it again really recently, and I just thought it's absolute dog shit.
Oh, it is. But in the best way.
It even watching, when the little kid is wearing the mask at Halloween, and then the joke is that he kills a house of teenagers. You know what I mean? It's just like, what?
Who can't relate to that?
It's kind of just sort of like bonkers,
I'd like to see the original cut of it before they hacked it to bits. Because I know Shane Black was very upset by it all, and he wouldn't talk about it.
Oh, really? Was he upset with the final cut?
When he was interviewed for my action documentary, he sort of threw out a line that he didn't want to talk about it.
It still has the bit where the severed arm comes through the fucking hatch in the police van. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, that's That's not an editing thing, is it? That's a scene that he's put. You know what I mean? It's like basically he made Gremlins 2. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the same with The Last Jedi. It's just Gremlins 2. Why have you made Gremlins 2 part 8 of a 9 episode franchise? You know, it's if you're going to do Gremlins 2, you do it second, right?
Look at those lovely whip pans there. Also, another classic line in the movie: "Want some candy?" Which is a good line.
Yeah,
Is that what he whispers?
Where? Want some candy? Yeah. Quite creepy, actually.
It's so creepy. I love it.
If you like your old school West Coast hip hop, there's a lot of really recognisable dialogue in this as well. Because for some reason, Ice Cube in particular used to sample both the Predator movies a lot. There's so many times, like no stopping what can't be stopped, no killing what can't be killed. That's like there's a whole song built around that sample.
That's amazing. Also, I like the act with the Predators messing with him. You know, he's like, this is like, that's what's slightly different to the other Predator. You know,
that's one of the things they do really well in the opening. The opening is so hectic, and we don't really know what's going on. But several things are established that are really valuable. One, as you mentioned, Nick, like we learn that he's scared of heights, and that's obviously going to be a big factor later. That's just subtly and cleverly introduced. But also this idea that the Predator is like monitoring him, he's watching him. We see him watching Dan. So he's obviously like he's picked Danny Glover out of this city worth of people as someone who's of note and of worth, and is going to be treated differently.
And he watches him like interact with his friend Danny. Danny boy. So he's like, kill him and get him to fight back.
Is it that he's got a code of honour that he respects?
Exactly, yeah. That's why they'll only kill people who are armed, and so all that kind of thing.
Women who are pregnant, they won't kill. You know,
in order to make this, because obviously they wanted to have the Predator just kill everyone on this train, because it's a great fucking scene. But in order to make it make sense, they have to have every one of those people armed. So they are.
And it's like all these characters are all like the way they're dressed. They've all come from like a video game or something. You know what I mean? They're all mad sort of caricatures of like villains. You know, like punks and stuff.
But there was a real Los Angeles gun culture at the time, because if you look at there was a L.A. Story, the Steve Martin film. There's a sequence at the beginning of that when they're all stuck on the LA freeway and everyone is shooting at each other. Yeah.
It's that time, isn't it? It's like every city. Well, New York and LA both have these sort of incredibly rich periods where movie makers can focus on, where there was just crime that was completely, everything from Death Wish through Escape from New York. That all that stuff is feeding off the horrors that were going on in New York at the time. Yeah. And likewise, so is LA Story in this, because this was the time when everyone was talking about LA gangs.
It was the zeitgeist.
Yeah, because hip hop had just come along, and
The other thing about the hip hop thing is that it was cinema culture as well. Friday nights, Predator 2's out. You'd see it in a packed cinema. It would fucking blow your mind. You'd come out of this absolutely pumped out of a packed cinema. And then, if Ice Cube went to see it on like a weekend, do you know what I mean? You'd go, I'm putting that in. It's like, is it Warren G and Regulate from Young Guns 1?
Oh, is that what does he sample Young Guns 1?
You were right at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, Ice Cube's actually got an album called Predator. The album is almost like a concept album homaging the Predator franchise. It's weird.
And P. Diddy.
I was never particularly satisfied with the sequence because it's really well edited, I think, by Mark Goldblatt. But it's like this whole sequence. But the way it's shot is so much strobe effects. You don't know what's going on. It becomes this kind of messy action sequence.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Predator 2, because Predator 1, every action scene is brilliant.
Yes.
Memorable. Always, you can see everything clearly. This is Predator 2 is always a little bit more. It feels like Stephen Hopkins isn't quite.
The action's shit, Ollie. Let's cut to the chase. It's not.
There's no tension.
He isn't fully confident, is he, with action?
there is not the action in this movie is one of the biggest problems, and the single biggest problem I have with this movie is the big action scene in the meat packing plant at the end. It's just, it goes on forever. It's boring. I don't think the action in this is good. The dynamism is
weird because a lot of visual flair to it, but it's like it's just the way it's all been staged isn't particularly exciting.
You're exactly right. Yeah, there is visual flair, yet somehow it's not exciting.
I think they've added the strobe. I think I heard they added the strobes in to cut down on the violence.
You think? Okay.
I mean,
it seems kind of natural.
but I also think. Oh, sorry. But I also think that there's a really good sequence with a strobe effect here, but this isn't it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to see some Bill Paxton death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. But because like later on, you see Danny sees he's got Bill Paxton, and he pulls his head off, right in the distance. But he screams as the head's already off. It's kind of weird, like how they've looped in some screaming sound effect.
I don't remember that in this.
Yeah, you see it in a bit. You see it in a bit. There's a great roundtable discussion. I think I did put it in my retrospective, but you've got Henry Jackman, composer, Hans Zimmer, and a bunch of others with Alan Silvestri, and most of them all geeking out about Alan's score to Predator 2. And Hans Zimmer said it was like one of the best action scores he'd ever heard. I was like, okay. He was like, Alan's just like, oh, thanks. It's a cracking score. There's a lot of repetition though, because it's basically the Predator score with some jungle drums kind of thrown in, and some more kind of heavy percussion in areas, but it still works a treat. That's why you can't have a Predator film now without that music, like because then the Predators John Debney would do the same score.
That's the thing about Predators when they start doing the callbacks with the MIDI gun and one ugly motherfucker, and and it's just kind of like, just don't make your own memorable moments.
Well, that's the thing. Was that, okay? We've had a discussion before, haven't we, Rod, about fan service, right? So you kind of often on board with fan service, right? Because
it's what.
It breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, I don't understand why people get so upset about it. It's like, what do you want? You love something, so that someone wants to make more of it, but you have to tread this nightmarish line between. The whole point is that you're trying to give people the thing that they want, but you have to do it in such a way that they don't realise that you're doing it. Well, fuck it, just do what you want.
No, but they do it in a way that you do realise that they're doing it, and it sort of breaks the fourth wall. Whereas there's good and bad fan service, isn't there?
Yeah, that's very important actually. Yeah, I mean, it can all be summed up in Star Wars, in Rogue One. There's that the bit where the guy from the cantina is just there in the street in Rogue One.
Oh, bumface.
10 minutes before he's due in the pub in Mos Eisley.
During the pub.
That is absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and there's no excuse for it. But also, people got really upset about AT-ATs being in Rogue One, because that's fan service. And it's not fan service. You're allowed to put something in more than one movie. If it's popular, you don't have to go, we can't use it again because it will be called fan service.
Yeah, what's weird in Star Wars is that like vehicles rarely come back. You get the X-Wings and the TIE Fighters, but, the AT-ATs they're in it very briefly in Return of the Jedi. I quite like that bit when you see it, like, moving along.
Yeah. But, like, why shouldn't there be... People get too het up about things that don't matter sometimes with fan-based movies, I think.
No, you're all right. The other thing about the two guys out of Rogue One is that they don't look anything like they do in Star Wars. So what's the point? What's the point? He's like 20 years younger and like 20 pounds lighter.
They just can't help it, can they?
It's just weird. Here he is. Airplane 2.
Wow. See, he's got natural authority, that guy.
There's a great moment coming up when Danny Glover runs chase after the Predator, and then Tony Pope sees him, and he starts filming, and he just goes, "Fuck you!" He just knocks him out flat.
He says something like, even more dead bodies, or something. Just
more victims, to interrogate or something, It's a great lines in this.
The shirt that Danny Glover's wearing looks itchy and hot as well, doesn't it?
It does it? Yeah, everything he wears.
It's like in the future everyone will be wearing Hessian Sachs as shirts.
It's like taking like Jack Nicholson from Chinatown and shoving him into Predator 2, who's all boiling hot and just like, God damn.
I love how if you notice, no matter what people are wearing, the sweat has soaked through it. Even when someone's wearing like a jacket over a shirt, it's still got big sweaty pits.
Now here's coming up where you hear the scream.
Right.
And it's not Bill Paxton's voice, it's another voice, but it is Bill Paxton.
Have they reused King Willie's scream?
Oh.
Is it the Predator doing the scream? It's not. It's just not. No, it's the Predator.
It's a Predator. Okay. It's a Predator scream, yeah.
Come on, Murtaugh, you can do it.
Poor old
As soon as he
Paxton.
gets his gun out, he's Murtaugh again, to me.
Yeah, well, he's doing the same sort of manic kind of movements.
He's got a really distinctive way of holding his gun, holding his body. And
he's
his gun.
terrified that he's going to have to use it.
He doesn't use the line though, does he? I'm too old for this shit, does he?
No, I don't think so. I was listening out for it.
Yeah, because when he's like crawling on the ledge and he's like got the disc is there and he's like he's complaining, but I don't think he says he's too old.
He does loads of that trademark Danny Glover kind of muttering under his breath to himself.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's in the script or what, but he does it in all the movies he's in. He does it.
He does it in Royal Tenenbaums as well. It's not just action films. I've never seen Operation Dumbo Drop, but I assume he does it in that.
Nor have I. Maybe we should do a commentary on it.
It's got Ray Liotta in it. I mean, it's going to be banging, right?
I'm sure he says it in Jumanji 3, maybe.
Ray Liotta on set with an elephant. Imagine the cocaine.
Elephants are notorious for their cocaine usage.
And peanuts. No, he's leading him back, isn't he?
Oh, that's a good shot. Like going in front of the neon.
Yes, brilliant. Yeah. This is he doing his sort of Spider-Man thing.
I'm absolutely not on a wire.
He's barely like touching that, you know.
No, he's got like claws, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's that is
Yeah. That genuinely shocked me when I was watching this the other day. It sent me sideways. I had to have a little moment.
That crash.
There's something about it that's really effective.
Yeah.
I think because
Yeah.
you haven't yet processed that there's no one in the car, and then whatever it is that happens to it, it's clearly going to have killed that
Well,
person.
it's real, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
almost like there wasn't like a stunt guy on set.
And you didn't see it coming.
It's like that bit in Invasion USA, Rob, where the guy gets they burst through that building and the camera's behind the guy at the desk. He just gets whacked.
Yeah, that guy got hurt.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
This is a shot, come on!
He's got hit by lightning. Fucking hell.
That was the poster, wasn't it, for the film? I was never a huge fan of the poster.
Isn't it rubbish?
What? The poster?
I want to love it, but it's just it's really dark. You can't make anything out, and there's nothing interesting going on. He's just standing there.
The Predator 2 poster.
Yeah, the US 1 sheet, he's just standing there on top of that building, isn't he? He's all dark, basically.
It's very dark.
And then the UK one was basically that shot, but like as a quad with more wider scope to it. That was kind of it. And then they did these kind of weird promo poses of the Predator in a street, like just doing weird stuff. And then you've got like this cartoon version. They did a hand-drawn one where he's on this doing this sort of weird pose. But yeah, I don't think they ever quite got the poster right.
No, I agree.
I remember the Predator 2 poster from like outside the Odeon on London Road in St Albans, and I thought, that looks great. I loved it.
This should have been the poster.
This?
Yes.
What,
Yeah,
red Danny Glover?
The Ghostbusters themed poster would have been awesome.
That is so Ghostbusters too, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Oh, man.
But this whole bit's aliens, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's almost every scene. I was kind of saying this earlier, but almost every scene in this movie is a scene from another movie, and it's not a complaint. But it's exactly the same. Yet when what's his name? The guy, the guy who's in charge of the Marines and aliens, it all starts falling apart, and he just loses his shit.
Well, that's the Baldwin guy, isn't it?
Yeah. So in this case, it's Adam Baldwin. In the In Aliens, it's I've forgotten the guy's name, the chief of the Marines there.
Right.
Oh God, yeah.
And then that's when Ripley takes charge and runs in and saves whoever's left alive, which is exactly what Danny Glover does here.
Was Adam Baldwin in X-Files?
I think he was. Wasn't he with the super soldier guy in the later series?
Super soldier.
There's a super soldier subplot in the later series, and I think it all revolves around him.
What's good about this is they put him in front of like neon and moving turbines, and do you know what I mean? They're like showing off a bit subtly.
You're thinking of Gorman, Rob.
Gorman, that's it. Yeah, Gorman.
Can't believe I forgot that name.
The other thing about the cliches you were talking about at the beginning, Rob, is kind of like it's kind of like they're aiming for that. It's meant to be like this hard-boiled kind of, you know, it's like a pastiche on almost action movies, Humphrey Bogart movies. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of going for that hard-boiled kind of dialogue thing, which is kind of cliched.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, and it's all there to do. It's all there to do a very specific job.
Yeah,
and everything in this movie does do its job in that respect. You know, it builds this kind of environment that's very familiar, and we know exactly how things are meant to work within it, and we know exactly what people's roles are within it, and that's good. You know, some people can be unsure about that because it's not all that imaginative, but I really like that kind of formula.
Are they about to go into the thing where they've all got cameras and the cameras get like switched off one by one? Are they just about to do that?
Well, they think they've confused a predator, haven't they?
Yeah, they've forgotten that light emits heat, basically. That's what's happened.
Right.
What we see here is that the predator has different filters, doesn't he, for his vision. That was it. And again, it's still part of the expanding the Predator's mythology, because when I played other video games, everything that you play a video game that's based on Predator or Alien vs Predator, everything that's in that game, weapons and what the Predator can do, it's all come from this film. You know, so that's what I kind of, you know, despite the film's kind of faults in some areas with the action being a little bit lackluster or not really delivering on the goods, and it being a bit, as you say, quite cliched in areas and a bit mean spirited. There's a lot of kind of really strong elements that kind of really sort of solidified sort of the Predator franchise. You know,
I really like the tone in this film.
Yeah. It's like I think one of you two said early on. It's a bit like RoboCop.
Yeah, especially the first half. I think
it's RoboCop 2. This is,
yeah,
yeah. You know,
it is more a sequel. It does feel more like a sequel to Lethal Weapon than it does Predator, to RoboCop than it does Predator.
I think Hopkins should have done RoboCop 2 instead of this, maybe. You know,
but he's just not. He's just not John McTiernan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who was like the greatest. He's not a showy off director, but he's subtly just fucking incredible. John McTiernan's just absolutely amazing at action sequences without being like a Robert Rodriguez that's throwing the camera around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's almost imperceptible what he does different from what Stephen Hopkins is doing, but there's just a secret sauce that's missing. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? If aside from the fact that Danny Glover is not necessarily the most commercial choice to star in this movie, the only reason I can see for it not doing particularly well at the box office is that last act just being a bit of a disappointment, because everything else is really exciting. The action.
Do you think it's maybe competition that when it came out, too much going on?
I think it's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that was all I could think at the time.
People aren't going to wait until the third act to make their mind up. It's not the third act that's the problem. It's just the concept of it without Arnold Schwarzenegger, and like I was saying on the Prometheus one, it's like the Adam Sandler effect, where Predator 2 at the time wasn't as good as Predator, so fuck Predator 2. But now, looking back, it's such a nostalgic period. They literally don't make films like this anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's kind of like. At the time it was table scraps, and now it's like a luxury hidden gem, you know?
This came out at the wrong time, I think. This came out in late November of 1990, right? This is best bordering onto Christmas season.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
This is not a Christmas feeling vibe.
Well, that's Thanksgiving,
movie.
isn't it? And this isn't a Thanksgiving movie.
So we in the UK didn't get it till May of 1991.
Sure, but didn't Demolition Man come out at Christmas and Starship Troopers came out at...
Oh, I remember Starship Troopers did come out in the UK in like winter time, I think.
I think I saw it on New Year's Day.
Were either of them much of a hit though. Demolition Man and Starship Troopers.
Demolition Man wasn't it?
Demolition Man was.
That put him. That and Cliffhanger put him back on the map.
I adore Demolition Man, but I'm not aware whether or not it was popular.
Oh, Starship Troopers. You're right, Nick. It came out January the 2nd.
Oh, right.
98.
Okay, there you go.
The good thing about Arnold not returning, though, is that it allows this series to be a series about the Predator.
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
about
not about
Arnold.
a star.
Like
Yeah.
Alien is that's kind of Sigourney Weaver's franchise, and they're getting away from it a bit now.
And
But
Terminator,
exactly. It's just Arnold.
Terminator and Alien are hobbled by the fact that it's about Sigourney Weaver and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sigourney Weaver, incredible. Her trilogy, amazing. And then maybe move on and do another thing.
Yeah, by the time of the fourth one, it's really stretching it to keep bringing her back.
Terminator 2 was a stretch. Terminator 3 was awful.
Yeah.
And like I was saying about that Terminator comic book, the next Terminator comic book, which was the sequel to Terminator, was 5 Terminators, men and women, all going back. None of them were Arnold Schwarzenegger. Although Terminator 2 is incredible.
Yeah. This line here coming up, sorry, when he just goes, it's like, fuck yourselves. It's like, he slams the door. It's such a good line. I did love it when the Predator... Well, we got here this line.
Fuck yourself.
I love when the Predator's checking through the vision, and when he finally sees him, he's like, yes! He goes in for the kill now.
Have you noticed as well that, so like Danny Glover has had to take a hostage to get out of there alive, and now they've just shut the door and it's fine. He's just hanging around. Now he's in the boot of his car right outside.
He's loading up though. He's going a bit Rambo.
He's going a bit John Matrix.
Talk to me, Hudson. See, this is all a bit clunky now. Shot with too many close-ups, you can't really tell. Half the time, you can't really. You get a great sense of Kevin Peter Hall's height when he picks up the woman at the train station. Right, you see how tall he is, but a lot of the time you don't. You get a sense of how tall he is in the film.
Yeah, and the sense of geography is fairly shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like even the train, which is just basically a tube. You know, that was difficult to tell what the fuck was going on and who was what side.
It's that awkward period when editing had started getting really frantic in action scenes, but no one had yet started to row it back a bit, going, hang on, we need to be able to follow what's actually happening.
There's like a Michael Bay artistry to what he does in Bad Boys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's too blue, it's too dark.
It's not flashy. It needs some... Imagine if John McTiernan had directed this, you know.
I would love to know John McTiernan's thoughts on this. I don't know if anyone's ever asked him what he thought about the film.
What was he doing instead? Hunt for Red October?
1990, Hunt for Red October.
And did he do Medicine Man?
He did. Yeah.
Saw Medicine Man at the cinema.
But yeah.
Fucking hell.
I did laugh though, Nick, when you were saying ages ago, I think we're talking about Hunt for Red October, and like the beginning of the film where they're all speaking Russian, they goes into English. You're like, oh, do I know Russian now?
Yeah, but you know what he does? Do you know what's absolutely? But you know what's amazing about that bit when he changes into Russian? John McTiernan is zooming in on his mouth, and then when it gets to, I think he says Archangel, which is the same in Russian and English, and then they start zooming out of his mouth. And it's English. It's like the transition point. That's John McTiernan. That's what he's adding to his films, like these amazing little details that you don't notice. And this is basically coverage. Do you know what I mean?
This shot here is great though. He shoots him from behind. That is great humour when he kicks him.
Doesn't even look.
Oh, Predator's trying to cheat now, isn't he? Oh,
That's a little bit ropey, isn't it?
it's a bit out of focus. I think slightly. It's a bit too soft.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to do, isn't it? I think with the analog media.
I almost think it's the blue lighting. They weren't using green screen back then. They were using blue screen.
Well, some films would use green screen, but majority was blue.
I thought green screen came in more with the advent of digital. Yeah.
Yeah, there is some green screen shots I've seen in older movies. I swear I've seen.
Yeah, I did. When we had this conversation recently with Stuart about blue screen being for film and green screen being for digital. I didn't even know that was a theory, but I did do a lot of just Googling behind the scenes photos of visual effects heavy movies, because then you'll see whether or not they're using a green or a blue screen. And there is a lot of switching back and forth during the 80s.
I just remember every behind the scenes thing, it always been blue screen until digital came out, and then it was all green screen.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was blue screen was the term. That was all you knew.
But they used it in the weather and all the Star Wars films and the Superman films.
Yeah, yeah.
Has he been cut in half yet?
Not yet. Just like Rocky in the background, just punching meat. Or just knocks out Paulie.
Paulie walking in with his cigar, yeah, fucking hell.
He's like, what the fuck's going on?
What the fuck's going on?
They're just trying to reference every major movie of the 70s and 80s somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rocky stars Carl Weathers in Predator.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
These bullet holes here is a reference to Biker Grove.
I need to hear the explanation for that.
Tying it all in.
Is that when you get shot in the paintballs in his eyes?
PJ gets shot in the eyes.
PJ.
Wasn't the stuff that the for the use of the blood, was that stuff you find in those fluorescent kind of like...
Yeah, mixed with corn syrup, I think. Or some sort of gelatin.
You go clubbing, don't you, and use those things?
Yeah.
Don't drink them. I'm not going to make that mistake a third time.
Don't drink them or smear them into wounds.
Imagine doing that. I saw this in Predator 2. It'll work, trust me. And you've got to burn yourself.
Look at the toes. Look at the detail on the toes. It's just such a good suit, isn't it?
It's all new as well, isn't it? It's entirely different, I think, to the original.
It's slightly different. I think he's meant to be younger.
Yes, yeah. I think it's supposed to be.
So he's a little bit more like, this is like
his
his
like
first...
It's just a different race of predator, isn't it? Like, you know.
But he's much more out in the open. He's much more violent. He's less precise.
He's more blue as well. Blue and purple.
He basically looks the same. Oh look, he's got a different coloration.
Yeah.
Like a spider's back.
In Predators, they brought out the same mold from Predator to bring it back. The classic look of the.
They used the original Predator mold in this as well for the elder when you see the group of them at the end on the spaceship, the one who's kind of in charge. His suit is.
He's got the pistol, isn't he? Yeah.
Same mold, but obviously painted differently. I haven't missed the body cut in two, have I? Have I missed that?
No. That's
no. It comes back in a minute.
This is the last time the Predator looked really good.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, because AVP movies,
they're fucking bulky.
Oh, they're bulky, yeah. But I mean, in terms of like the face, right? The face is fine in AVP because it's a similar guys doing the same work. Right?
In the Predator, his head looks just so fucking huge.
Oh yeah, the new
on
ones.
A tiny little body.
Yeah, they look awful. I don't like those ones. I was never a fan. Your ass.
That's how Gary Busey should look all the time.
It's just like I just suddenly thought he looks like Boris Johnson.
Evil Boris Johnson. Oh no, hang on. The other way around.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Boris Johnson's an evil Gary Busey.
Where's the top half of your body?
Yeah.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
like famously, the top half of the body just disappears there. But also, the frisbee thing he throws at him is nowhere near as wide. Like the diameter of it is nowhere near as wide as Gary Busey is. So how did it?
It's spinning and it glows, so maybe there's some sort of like glowing thing that helps it fly around and cut wider. But also, if I was being sliced in half, I'd grab hold of a big piece of cow. Do you know what I mean? So maybe the legs just fell. He's dead. He's holding on to the cow, though. You know.
Rigor mortis just set in really quickly.
You're not thinking straight, Rob. You keep rushing into these theories, Rob, and you look like a fool.
I take it all back.
Oh, dear. I love when he just throws a spear, just throws it into that metal air conditioner. It looks like it's thrown through paper. This bit always made me jump. It's a John Woo moment, isn't it? A nod to John Woo.
That's a hardcore bit. It's like a Desert Eagle with some sort of laser sight on it.
That's right, yeah.
I can so relate to it. There's even a bit later on he gets scared by birds again and starts cursing birds. I have two phobias. They are heights and birds. I can really relate to this sequence.
Mine's the spiders. Ugh. Oh, that sound effect.
Oh wow! So what's he doing? He's got a little oxygen mask. Can they not breathe in our atmosphere then?
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe he's just.
Or it's injury related.
Or he's
maybe?
got asthma, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, he got him again there. The Desert Eagle was kind of the big thing, wasn't it? The late 80s and into the 90s. There's a gun to have.
A really big handgun. It's completely impractical.
Was it the gun for Robocop?
It
wasn't
was,
it?
yeah, but it looked too small.
Too small.
In real life, apparently, they're quite unpopular because they're just so big. They're unwieldy.
What, the guns?
Yeah. I've always wanted one.
Oh, he's doing his best Arnold impression there.
He called him Pussyface. He actually... And they've actually made it look like a vagina as well. Like it wasn't that vaginal in the first one.
There's something about his eyes in those close-ups of his face that don't look right to me. He doesn't look scary. His eyes don't look scary enough. It's like the original Godzilla. Do you know what I mean? You want some sort of a furrowed brow type thing going on just to give him a bit of a edgy look.
Yeah, it doesn't look great in close up, but the first one did in the original.
Yeah,
because he's a lot more gooey in the first one and sweaty. This one, it looks a bit more sort of dry, as it were. He's kind of.
Well, it looks a bit more like rubber. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it looks airbrushed. Like they've airbrushed the detail on it. It looks like a paint job rather than a recreation.
like any responsible policeman, Danny Glover is about to drop that nuclear bomb into Crackhead Alley for someone to find tomorrow. You might want to keep hold of that, mate.
Some sort of video game, sort of press the buttons. What do I win?
How many city blocks will that destroy if someone finds it and sets it off?
There's some 1990s comedy coming up now.
Oh man, yeah, with the old lady.
The lady, yeah.
What do we think of that?
It always reminds of Ghostbusters, right?
Right, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
She jumps through the wall, doesn't it? She runs out and goes, oh, and just goes back in, you know. Always made me laugh.
I want to know how she can hear him banging about in there, but didn't hear him destroying the wall and falling through the window.
Yeah.
Well, I think her TV's on, isn't it? I think that'll explain that. Come on. Stop fighting Predator 2.
If they've shaken the whole building, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But if you're thinking about that, you're not really enjoying Predator 2.
That's it. It's only since the meatpacking scene that I've started thinking about these stupid things.
I tell you what, Predator is like it's like a really serious, heavy film, and this is a B movie.
Yeah. Yeah, this has got its tongue in its cheek.
Yeah.
No movie that casts Bill Paxton can be entirely serious.
But that's why I think that those two one-liners in the space of a minute in Predator are just so kind of like they don't ruin the film, but they do drag me out.
Yeah, it's Commando, isn't it?
Yeah.
Commando. Arnold has lots of one-liners in Commando, so Arnold has to be given one-liners.
And maybe that was like a Shane Black thing. Shane Black was on set that day.
He is very good at them.
But they shouldn't be in the film,
Because it wasn't that about Shane Black kind of he wouldn't admit it, but I think it was kind of like he was brought on to sort of spice up the script a bit.
I think he was brought on, but he didn't really do much, and they killed him off. I think that was
that was the punishment.
I think that was the thing. Had he done Lethal Weapon at that point?
He had, yeah. So he was, in Joel Silver's good books,
Yeah, when was Lethal Weapon?
87?
But they're both 87.
Yeah, same year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, because Lethal Weapon had been going around like for a couple of years as a sort of spec script, wasn't it? Or concept script.
Well, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. I think you read it a couple of years before.
And I guess Beverly Hills Cop came out, and then it was just like, hey, this is kind of funny and action.
Herb. Oh, he just so smashing through the door, didn't he?
And they're watching Jeopardy. You can hear the Jeopardy theme tune in the background. Which is just the theme tune to Jeopardy, not the actual game show in the background. They're just listening to the theme tune to Jeopardy
Over and over again.
Oh my god. Good stunt there. Good stunt double for Danny Glover. Because he wouldn't do that.
I'm not sure.
I can't look at this bit.
They really kind of amped up the sort of Predator's first aid kit, haven't they, in this one?
There's always the thing where he's got the gloves, and the gloves are about, like, an inch longer than his actual fingers.
You can tell, can't you? Yeah.
So he's using kind of like the middle knuckle to kind of like hold everything. That's really obvious in the first one. And he kills her because she's got a broom.
You get a sense of his height there, man. God.
You ever noticed how dubbed a lot of the dialogue sounds in this?
ADR.
The ADR's like it's like really obviously ADR'd a lot of the time. It's like when someone's running and then they say something and their voice just doesn't match they're not out of breath or there's no movement. There's especially Bill Paxton's lines earlier.
I think it's probably just like because if you do it like off, like on and off throughout, it does create a sort of uneven audio, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's on-set audio, then it's ADR. But if you do ADR the whole lot and kind of get it mostly right, it's going to be you have better control of everything and to separate all the channels and make something a bit more punchy.
I quite like doing ADR, but it's quite difficult to like sync yourself up when you do it.
Yeah, have you had to do that then?
Yeah, you do it on
I've often
everything.
wondered how difficult that is.
Well, you're just in there. It's kind of like you're getting a flow of it. You hear the original take, and then you try and replicate it.
Yeah,
I think it's like a fun little challenge to do, but you can always tell, I think.
I've got tin ears. I don't normally notice things like that.
It's usually good to kind of like add in a bit of information that's gone missing or wasn't ever there.
That's what Christopher Nolan does with all his movies. Everyone complains about, I can't hear the dialogue, it's always a bit too quiet or a bit too lost in all the sound effects, because he never uses ADR stuff. Everything's always on-set audio.
And IMAX cameras are fucking noisy.
Yeah.
So they're competing against that as well.
Now this is the first time you get to see anything kind of what the Predator ship in the first one, you barely see what it was. And this has got this kind of you would say Egyptian kind of stuff to it, you think? Or
Yeah, they are kind of like hieroglyphs, aren't they?
It's kind of cheap looking though, right? It looks kind of like a queue to a theme park.
I don't.
yeah, it's all just backlit, isn't it?
Do you know what? What's that Jungle Cruise? I remember standing waiting in Disney for the Jungle Cruise, and you're absolutely right. This is what you're surrounded by.
And it's kind of like, or you're in like a shit nightclub. Do you know what I mean? It's like the smoke makes it look ridiculous.
I don't like the smoke, and if you notice from shot to shot, it changes quite dramatically sometimes how much of it there is. But it also creates a lot of problems because you've got that really dodgy VFX shot later on when the predators walk away into the smoke, and their legs are kind of they're just sort of not there.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like a spaceship. I don't know where we are in the spaceship, but like, where's the spaceship?
It's the centre of it, isn't it? But I suppose what's it designed to be, other than the fact that it's just a place for them to fight.
Well, this is their trophy room, but it's kind of like, what is this? The Predator's biggest ship? Is this where they keep all of their trophies? Do you know what I mean? It's like, are they like pirates then maybe? And it's a team of Predators that travel around in their pirate ship, and this is their what am I trying to say? These are their trophies, yeah, right? So they've gone around collecting these all.
But it's not. There's a whole group of them, which is what I remember thinking. I thought the whole point was that they're like it's a coming of age, a ritual thing that they all go and do on their own. Okay. So the fact that there's suddenly other predators there doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But then, like you say, it's like you start wondering, so whose ship is this? Is that one family? Have they all done this? Are those trophies, have they been collected by everyone? Have they been collected by the predator in this movie?
Yeah.
Well, I think it just expands upon it. I think because you only see one predator being dropped off, it doesn't imply that he's not alone, on that ship.
No, but it's not a natural. It doesn't fit the backstory to my mind. You go and kill. It's a coming of age. It's a what's the term I'm looking for? A rites passage or whatever it is. Yeah, that's something you do on your own. That's not something that your family comes along with you for.
If this was a building, then you'd have a trophy room, but it's a spaceship that's kind of like, it's like a car. Why would you have your
yeah, unless they live in it as well. Maybe they don't have a home planet.
But there's not any chairs, Rob. Where are the chairs? Where's the TV?
George Lucas could not direct a movie on this set.
The alien skull is the Stan Winston alien skull, isn't it? It's like different from Alien.
It would have been nice if because it looked like it had a weird sort of T-Rex kind of head.
Well, I always thought that was like the Rancor monster from Star Wars.
That would have been a great idea, but yeah, I've always thought, why don't they have more of these things in the background? And maybe there are, but I've never heard of any other known.
These orange walls look fucking dreadful. It's such an anticlimax at the end of the film. This fucking spaceship looks dog shit.
I don't mind it. I don't like the smoke because it doesn't make any sense.
None of these things are three-dimensional. They're just sort of like, gels that they've put up.
It's very two-dimensional, yeah, very flat. The whole fight he just had with the Predator is very sort of lackluster. When he got fired with the net, just reminded me of the 70s Spider-Man where he fired his web and as he catches the dudes, It's like rope,
Look how gunchy it is.
It's like that sort of, what is it? That lime Calippo he's sort of smashed up.
Yeah.
It does look like it would be tasty.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's not like blood anymore, though, is it? It's like wallpaper paste.
Yeah, that's the thing. They did mix it with some sort of gelatin, so I think that I think the predators are meant to have like a much sort of a more sort of viscous, thicker blood than we do.
Now these guys, aren't they? These are the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah, apparently.
Yeah, because obviously they did that dance number, like behind the scenes thing, which is hilarious, and they shoved on YouTube by whoever, like 15, 16 years ago. Because obviously Danny was a huge fan and basically got them all to cameo.
And they're all tall.
Yeah.
That's why they done it, right? They're all tall, and they needed a bunch of tall people, so they got the local basketball team. They would have fucking loved that as well. Predator's amazing. Do you want to be in Predator 2? Yes, please. I'd love to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, all right, sign the contract, and then we'll...
They get there, there's no Arnold, and there's 5 minutes in makeup before they spend 2 days standing there. Look at the... Oh, I hate that effect. As they walk into the...
It's just too difficult with that smoke.
Exactly, yeah, don't have the smoke, or don't do that effect.
But my way of dealing with it is just thinking, that's what the invisibility effect does, right?
It creates a black matte line.
It's particularly effective from the knee down, their invisibility effect.
Absolutely.
With Prey,
Yeah.
they allude to this gun, don't they?
There was a comic book that was set on a pirate ship where the Predator takes this gun.
Right.
And then in Prey, they obviously, the comic book isn't canon, so they gave it another origin story. But that's why it works really well as a trilogy. I suppose you could throw Predators in that if you wanted to, but I just think...
So would you watch Prey first then Predator, then Predator 2?
No, I'd watch them in order. Predator, you know. Because this is the weakest out of the three, I think. So you sandwich it in between the best one and the second best one.
I love he just goes flying, doesn't he, when the boosters go off.
Yeah, I always felt like there's a couple of shots missing here that might
He runs
explain
really
them.
quickly, doesn't he? Watch, like they sped up the footage of him running. Here we go. Whee!
Oh my god, yeah. Wow.
I never noticed that.
I never noticed that. He went from slow motion as well, so it's even worse.
There really needed to be a couple more shots there of us actually seeing the ship departing Los Angeles somehow.
Do you think they slowed it down in post, and then in the next one they said, well, it needs to be twice as fast, and so then they doubled the speed of what it was?
Yeah, because once the flame hits, like, the exhaust thing, it cuts to sort of normal speed as he jumps, you know.
Oh, God.
Could have been, like, hand animated, maybe, when they redid the running.
It didn't look real, did it? It looked like...
I think it'd been rotoscoped or something like that.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing to speed up without it being noticed as well, I find, is
Running.
people walking and running. It's the one thing that if you just speed something up to 105%, you'll never notice it until people start moving, and you're just so familiar with how people's physicality is. So where is this then? Where is it meant to be, I should say?
Yeah, it's all supposed to be in LA still, but it's like I suppose the sort of outskirts of it, you know, because we had the jungle introduction.
He walked straight from a big tenement building to wherever this is.
He fell through a hole, didn't he, into it?
But he ran down a tunnel and he got blown up, and we don't know how long it took
this
him
is
to
the
walk
future
out.
of 1997, so lots changed.
But look at this fucking impact fucking crater where the spaceship is obviously, it's ploughed its way into this tunnel, and no one's reported it. Yeah. It's right next to, what the fuck is that? It's right next to a car lot and an overpass.
Yeah, so there's some sort of overpass.
Is this trench meant to be? What's this trench? Where's the trench on fire?
Well, that's where it escaped, though, didn't it? It escaped through that.
It must have gone in the same way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, it's the spaceship just left, hasn't it? Right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't have any more questions.
They're all kind of teeing us up for another sequel, which it took us... Oh, God. Well, we had to wait till Alien vs. Predator, didn't we, before we saw Predator again on film. Which is quite disappointing.
Yeah.
You know.
But, I mean, that's why Prey is such a huge achievement.
Mm. It was weird that Disney decided, we're not going to release it theatrically. Just shove it straight on streaming.
It was a pandemic
thing. It was during COVID, I suppose, wasn't it? So
I was thinking it would be fun to... I've never really considered it as a trilogy in that way. It's interesting to look at it that way, but I was thinking it'd be fun to make a direct sequel to this. Now, with Danny Glover, think of a reason why that Predator has to come back to see Danny Glover about something. And I'd love to see an old Danny Glover fighting predators.
I left my frisbee at your fucking thing. I need to get my frisbee back.
It would be 2033. 2033, that's when it'd be set, right?
Perfect.
Or 2032.
Maybe
realised
2027 though, wouldn't it? Every 10 years. 2027, wouldn't it?
Is that a thing though? Because
It'll be 7 years ahead, right? This was made in 1990, set in 1997.
Okay. Fair dues. Well, yeah, as we said, I think it's still an enjoyable film despite some of its kind of flaws and areas. I think it's it's interesting when you sort of look at the newer stuff and you sort of compare the films. You think, oh, I didn't quite like Predator 2 in the past, but when you watch the new stuff, you sort of see the strengths of the old sequel compared to the new films. And
yeah, well, it's the Adam Sandler effect.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's come back to haunt us. But as you say, well, Prey was good though. So I mean, that was obviously, Rob. You enjoy the Predator for its kind of like for what it is and why it's such a mess. But I don't think the Predator films have such a sort of wonky kind of franchise compared to
the mythology of it kind of does make sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not
perhaps I say Aliens, because we've got Alien 4 and whether you think of Prometheus and Covenant and those sort of things, or Alien 3. Some people hate Alien 3, so it's
well, Alien 3 is just absolutely flawed, isn't it? Like, there's no getting around the fact that it's not the film it should have been and it could have been, and they fucked it. We know all about the behind the scenes stuff. They fucked it, and so it's just a deeply compromised film, and you either hate it or you can kind of squint at it and go, I can see what they were going for, and I quite like the fact that it rounds off the Sigourney Weaver trilogy. But I think this is probably better than something like Prometheus. But I would say that the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise, the Predator is kind of like...
It's more B-movie. B-movie.
They're making dumb kind of like... And I don't mean dumb in a bad way, but they're kind of like dumb kind of movies where you kind of like, they
don't challenge you. They're just there for entertainment.
There's there's a little bit of elevated world building, a little bit, but just enough to kind of take you on the ride. Whereas Alien is kind of like an intellectual kind of experience where all of the world building is kind of incomprehensible.
Exactly, and that's where the mythology kind of suffers with Alien, because it feels like everyone who made an Alien film just kind of changed the mythology to match what they wanted to say and do in that movie. Whereas the Predators never had that much mythology to deal with in the first place, and each movie doesn't contradict the previous one in the way that the Alien movies tend to.
That's why this one is so good, because it expands on everything just enough. Whereas when you go to the Predator homeworld, they've kind of given you too much, and it's just like you just needed a little bit here and there to just, like, again with Prey, it's got a skull mask, and it's kind of like a less advanced Predator than in the other films. It's kind of, yeah, right, they've thought about all these little details. There's less to get wrong. Do you know what I mean with the Predator films?
Exactly, yeah. It's not as dense a mythology, and also there just seems to be a bit more respect for not fucking about with that mythology, which I guess because the Alien franchise has had so many like genuinely top tier creative filmmakers involved in it, whereas I'm not even sure who's made a lot of the Predator follow-ups, if I'm honest.
Well, yeah, I said, is it Nimrod?
Nimrod,
yeah, we did Predators, and then the Predator, you had Shane Black. So you've had kind of like a different. You've not had sort of strong visualists. You've had guys who specialise in kind of action, kind of comedy writing, or
filmmakers rather than people who consider themselves artists and have something to say.
Yeah, or guys who are just sort of journeymen, or sort of like just
exactly,
guns for hire,
journeymen.
You know what I mean?
And Shane Black's great with thrillers and stuff like that, but I don't know if he's a particularly, hugely cinematic kind of director.
Oh no, but things like you wouldn't hire him to do a Predator film. I wouldn't think so. You wouldn't look at that.
Yeah, the action in something like Nice Guys is not comparative to the action in something like Predator.
I'd happily have a Predator film written by Shane Black, but I wouldn't.
We had that.
Well, we had that. But
it was fucking dreadful, Oliver.
if you had it before that, right? If that didn't come out, but you think, oh, he'd be the right guy, but then you'd get someone like Rennie Harlin to direct it because I want that Long Kiss Goodnight combo.
Rennie Harlin is kind of like a better version of Stephen Hopkins, right? In terms of
that makes sense.
In terms of he's like a what do you call it? A jobs. What is it? A journeyman director, but he's kind of like got the slick flair that something like Die Hard 2 is really well directed. It's really so's Cliffhanger. First 10 minutes of Cliffhanger is almost like the best film ever made.
Yeah, I think Die Hard 2 is unbelievably underrated as well. I'm still surprised to find people who don't like it or who don't rate it. I've always thought it's absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what? Because John McTiernan directed Die Hard and Rennie Harlin directed Die Hard 2, and then it would have been perfect. He's the perfect guy to follow it up.
Well, gents, do you think for the next commentary we should do Die Hard 2, or is that a Christmas film? Wait till Christmas for that. Or we do Alien Covenant.
I'm not doing Covenant.
Am I allowed to say that too?
we can put it on the shelf for a bit until Nick.
No. We need to finish it off at some point. That's fine.
Yeah,
we need to put that series to bed.
I'll do. I've done Prometheus. I'll do Covenant if you want me back.
Yeah.
Hate
of course
it.
we want
Though.
you back.
Hate it.
But because we're on a roll now with Predators, we could do the other Predators.
I do want to do Die Hard 2.
I'd love to do Die Hard 2.
I've got stuff to say about Die Hard 2.
Are you a fan?
I love. Wow. Die Hard 2.
Because Ollie hates it. Ollie thinks it's one of the worst films ever made.
I did not say that.
He told me that he wishes it was burnt alive.
Die Hard 2. Die Hard 2 is like... Was Die Hard 2 before any of the other Die Hard knockoffs?
Oh,
it's the first one to knock itself off,
because
right?
the sequel came around so
it was very quick, was it? It probably is. Yeah, it probably is.
And then after that, you get Under Siege and all of that stuff. So, but it's to the point where they can't do it again with Die Hard with a Vengeance because it's such a cliche by that point.
Okay, chaps, let's do Die Hard 2 next, because technically it came out in July of 1990. It's a summer movie.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
It's less Christmassy than the first one, isn't it? It's not built around a Christmas party. It just happens to take place at Christmas.
I never knew it was Christmas. I thought it could have been Thanksgiving. Well, there's Christmas stuff in it. I think it is a very Christmassy film, though.
Yeah, I do.
It's got snow in it.
What do you want?
What do you want?
Cliffhanger's a Christmas film as well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah, definitely. So is Robocop 3. That's a Christmas film.
And Alien vs Predator, Christmassy.
So is Alive. That's a very Christmas film.
Yeah. And a thing.
Well, everyone, hope you enjoyed the commentary. Me and the chaps will be back with Die Hard 2 then. All right, everyone, take care and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.